Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a while since we chatted, so I'm glad to be back with another video. We've actually got quite a bit to talk about today. A little bit about the Battlefront Classic Collection, Star Wars Outlaws, drama, new stuff coming to Fortnite from Star Wars, as well as an update on Respawn's strategy game, and also surprisingly, Battlefront 2 is getting some buzz again 4 years after the official support was ended. So why don't we get straight into it. First of all, the Battlefront Classic Collection, well, the update is kind of that there isn't really an update. The game is honestly like completely dead. Just look at these numbers on Steam, absolutely abysmal. I'm sure the numbers are a little bit better on the consoles, especially on the PlayStation where the game wasn't previously available, but the fact that it is just completely dead on PC is honestly really sad, and we still haven't heard anything about update number 2 yet. The first update obviously fixed some major stuff, but there's still a lot to be done with the game. But to be honest, like, does anyone still play this? Like, I gave up on the multiplayer long ago and realized that going back to EA's Battlefront 2 was just so much more fun. I do, however, still enjoy hopping on, playing some instant action, playing through the 501st journals and things like that, but the multiplayer, I'm not sure how good of a state that can actually end up in, and honestly on PC it's impossible to find a server with players in anyways, so that was a bit of a waste, to be completely honest. Anyways, now over to Star Wars Outlaws, which is the big Star Wars gaming release this year, and which obviously had its, I guess, full reveal with the trailer and everything earlier this month, which was again met with some drama. We just cannot have a Star Wars game without drama. It's honestly sad. Like, every Star Wars game, well, I don't know, for like the last 10 years have launched with some type of issue or media controversy, and I'm starting to feel like Star Wars Outlaws might be the same. But just to be clear, it's not that bad yet. So, what did we get for Star Wars Outlaws? Well, first of all, the release date is on August 27th, which happens to be on my 30th birthday, so I guess it's kind of like a birthday present, but on the other hand, I'm kind of bummed about the timing, because I didn't really envision myself playing games and recording videos and streaming on my 30th birthday, so how my coverage will be on the game around launch, I don't have any promises, but we'll see when we get closer to that. Anyways, the new trailer honestly looked great to me, and I think it looks like a fun story, and I still think that the whole reputation aspect of the game is what's the most intriguing to me. Being able to work with or against different crime syndicates and deciding how you want to play the game is really fun. How free that's gonna be is tricky to say, as I saw some comments when I asked which crime syndicates you wanted to work with and against, that some people thought they're just gonna do missions for one single crime syndicate. I wonder if that's gonna be enough to actually complete the game. If it is, awesome, because all that will do is probably add a lot of replayability to the game, and that's something we always love to see. When it comes to the actual drama, first of all, I think there was some stuff that I honestly don't really agree with, that criticized the way Kay Vess looked, basically pausing the trailer in like the worst possible still frames just to portray the game in a bad light. I really don't agree with that and feel like it's just a stupid way of criticizing the game or the actor or the game designers. I will admit though that she looks surprisingly little like the actual actor who plays her if you compare it to characters like Aiden Versio or Cal Kestis, who look very much alike their characters. So there is definitely some valid criticism to it, but some of it was obviously blown out of proportion as always. But if you look at the dislikes for this game, obviously you need to use a third-party plugin to actually see that on YouTube. You will see that the dislike ratio is actually really bad. And I was kind of shocked to see that, because even though I obviously saw the negative comments, I didn't think it was gonna be that bad. And then we get to the bad stuff that I do actually agree with. Yes, it's again been a little bit blown out of proportion, but it still rubs me the wrong way. All the versions of the game, the standard edition, the gold edition, the ultimate edition with the pre-order bonuses, season pass, early access, and all that kind of stuff being shoved down our throats in every piece of the promotion. The standard edition being at $70, I can't really argument against that, to be completely honest, because games haven't really gone up much in price if you compare to, I don't know, like any goods the last 10 years. So the base game being $70, that's completely fine. But then we have the gold edition with the season pass, which you have to pay $110 for, which also gives you early access to the game, as well as the ultimate edition for $130, which also has the season pass, the early access, and a bunch of cosmetic bundles. I just don't like the idea of release versions of a game being $130. I think that's completely ridiculous, and honestly, the part that rubbed most people wrong is the fact that the season pass also includes access to a Jabba the Hutt mission on launch, meaning that they have content ready to go in the actual launch version of the game, but you will only have access to that if you've bought the gold edition or the ultimate edition, and that is honestly just so stupid in my opinion. And that particular part blew up, and honestly, I agree with that. Locking launch content behind a massive paywall makes no sense, but Ubisoft did respond to this, saying, to clarify, Jabba the Hutt and the Hutt Cartel are one of the main syndicates in Star Wars Outlaws and will be part of the experience for everyone who purchases the game, regardless of edition, a Ubisoft rep told us. The Jabba's Gambit mission is an optional additional mission with the Hutt Cartel along Kay and Nyx's journey across the Outer Rim. The mission will be available to those who purchase the Season Pass or an edition of the game which includes the Season Pass. So, I don't know, locking actual gameplay experience, even if it's just a small mission, is just stupid in my opinion. Like, to be honest, those extra $20 for the cosmetics in the Ultimate Edition, I don't really care. Like, if you want all the cosmetics and you want to churn out money, fine. If there's one thing you can include in these expensive editions, it's the skins, because I don't feel like I'm gonna be missing out if someone paid more money to get some skins. It's more about the gameplay, which is why this rubbed a lot of people wrong. And for me, I also thought the marketing is just really annoying, because if you look at the Star Wars Outlaws Twitter, it's all about pushing these early access and pre-order stuff. Coming out August 30th, 2024, play up to 3 days early with Gold or Ultimate Edition, which includes the base game and Season Pass. So it's all about the different editions. And then pretty much the next tweet is, explore the galaxy in style on the ground and in space with the Kessel Runner bonus pack. Pre-order now and receive Trailblazer and Speeder cosmetics in Star Wars Outlaws. All about just pre-order, Gold Edition, Ultimate Edition. Instead, they could have, you know, made some cool clips from the game, either from the trailer or maybe some new clips being like, this is something you can do in the game and it's included for everyone, or this is another awesome mission you will playing in the game. But instead, all the focus is just on pre-order, buy the Gold Edition, buy the Ultimate Edition. This is what you're missing out if you don't buy these editions. It's just honestly the worst way to portray a game, because to be honest, this game is hopefully and probably really good. It looks good from a gameplay perspective, it looks good from a story perspective, but all of this stuff just making it look bad and potentially honestly hurting the sales makes no sense to me when the focus is purely on all of these editions and the pre-orders. As I think the gaming community by now should have known, don't pre-order, wait for the game to come out and see that it works properly. But oh well, that's all I wanted to say about Star Wars Outlaws right now. All the marketing around the game and the editions, that's what rubs me wrong, but the actual game I'm really excited to play and see more of. Moving on to Fortnite Star Wars, something that honestly seems to be the only multiplayer Star Wars that we are getting, and they actually announced both with a teaser trailer and on the official Star Wars website that a new Star Wars collaboration is coming to Fortnite on May 3rd. We don't know exactly what it's gonna be, but the trailer says both LEGO Fortnite, Festival and Battle Royale, meaning that the Star Wars collaboration is gonna touch all parts of the game. And I think this is just another step to what the future will probably hold for us, because in case you didn't know, Disney put out a huge investment into Epic Games to build this massive, I guess, game or world that includes all of Disney's different IPs. It's still really unclear what this is, if it's just like a huge Fortnite, but it sounds like it's something bigger than that. And it could very well be good, but it's also not really what all of us have been asking for. But seeing the reaction to every time they announce Star Wars or Fortnite, it's pretty much all positive. Fortnite has millions and millions of players, so I'm sure this is going to be something cool for everyone playing Fortnite. And I personally kind of just hop on for a month or so when the new Star Wars stuff drops, and then I get bored of it because the actual gameplay is still the same, even though it's a Star Wars skin on it all. Moving on, we have a Respawn strategy game, more specifically Bit Reactor's strategy game, which a lot of us were worried was also gonna get cancelled after the Mandalorian game from Respawn got cancelled, but they assured us that the Bit Reactor strategy game is still happening, and PC Gamer actually interviewed Bit Reactor's art director and technical director about the game. They weren't allowed to reveal direct details about the game, but I still think it gave us a bit of a hint of what the game is gonna be. They did say the following: I think there's definitely a perception there. I think folks have a limited view of what a strategy game could be, said McFall, who previously worked on Fireaxe's XCOM reboot series. That is one of the things we want to try and do, expand people's perception of what the experience actually is of playing a strategy game. So they never in this interview mentioned real-time strategy, something that I know a lot of people have thought it could be. And the author of the article did say that even though they didn't specifically mention anything about what the game is going to contain, he got the feeling that it's gonna be something turn-based, because first of all, a lot of the developers did work on XCOM, and secondly, they praised a lot of games such as Rabbids and Baldur's Gate 3 in the interview, making it seem like a turn-based game is very likely. And honestly, if they made a game that was like Baldur's Gate 3, that could have been such a massive hit. But Baldur's Gate 3 isn't really considered a strategy game, but just a turn-based RPG, so we're not gonna go down that route, I think, but maybe take some inspiration from it, who knows. Anyways, it's still one of the projects I'm most excited to hear more about because the development team seems really great. But again, we pretty much know no details about the game yet. Lastly, we've got Battlefront 2 back on the top lists again. As crazy as that sounds, 4 years after they cut the support of this game. Because in March, Battlefront 2 actually made it onto the top most downloaded list on the PlayStation 4, both in Europe and the US, actually claiming the 7th spot in Europe and 13th in US/Canada. Which is kind of crazy because again, there's not been any update to this game for 4 years. And this is also on consoles where there's no mods or anything like that. I think it probably got a little bit of a boost from people who wanted to play the Classic Collection, got disappointed by it, and then ended up playing EA's Battlefront 2 instead because arguably it's way better. And honestly, the game continuously being on top lists is, I guess, a little bit of a good sign for the future, because there's no way that EA and Disney don't see these numbers and how many people who still play Battlefront 2 and how much of a demand it is. Actually, one of the old Battlefront 2 developers responded to this when I posted out on Twitter, which I wanted to share here just for kind of good memories. He said, "We ended up getting into a good place with a team and community that was really passionate about the game and the wider franchise/IP as a whole. There was definitely tears, pride and sadness when we stopped work on Battlefront 2. And he was also asked about if he knew there was any plans on Battlefront 3. No idea, to be honest. When I left DICE, I was deep into 2042 post-launch, focusing on reworking maps, new maps, and bringing back classes. I sincerely hope there are plans, as it's clear there is an appetite for Battlefront games." So I feel like we see these kind of comments pop up from different developers all the time. Everyone just says that Battlefront 2 was a phenomenal game and everyone wanted to continue working on it. And also the fact that the development team was like a well-oiled machine. I've personally heard from many people who worked in that team that team was basically an example of how an efficient, passionate, and successful team should work, and which also makes it more understandable why so many people left DICE either directly after Battlefront 2 was shut down or after they worked a while on Battlefield 2042, as they basically just chopped the Battlefront team apart and shoved it into Battlefield 2042. Other than that, we do of course have Kyber V2 dropping in May, was the last I heard, could potentially be delayed, and in case you don't know, check out my previous video where I go over what Kyber V2 is. It's gonna be the biggest thing to happen to Battlefront 2 on PC since they stopped supporting the game in 2020, and will probably revolutionize the way we play the game. Anyways, that's all I had for you today. A big chunk of stuff to discuss from various games, even though I still have a kind of bleak outlook on the future of Star Wars games, at least when it goes past Star Wars Outlaws, as it feels like the majority of games beyond that may very well be cancelled, not happen at all, or something along those lines. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.